is the Motovation Podcast, hosted by Laurie Joy Kingwell and Krissy Vann. That's me. And we're taking you on a little off-roading.
And every single week, we're going to be joined by our dope friend, Richelle from True Grit Moto.
Woo! Hey, I floss.
And every week, we are going to ask each other stupid questions, and we're going to answer them. And why, you may ask? Because we can. All right, this is your Motovation
Off-road edition.
I'm moving again. And like, technically I was, but I wasn't for like another 6 months. And they were like, you just moved here. I was like, yes, but I'm off again. I'm off to the next adventure. And he was like, okay. And
He knew.
How old were you and why did you feel that need? Because I do recall how much authority it felt like these establishments had over us. So I'm just curious.
I would have been 22 or 23. And there wasn't a lot of authority. I think it was because I was like, when I was applying for the job, it was like the real cool, one of the cool hip stores in Calgary. So I was very much like, I really want this job. Like, I'll be a good fit, and like really sold myself. And then within the first like week or two, I was like, yeah, this is mind-numbingly boring. I forgot how mind-numbingly boring it was to work at a clothing store. And I also did that thing where you like grab all your shit you want for 40% off with your
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't so much that they had authority, you know, like he was essentially an old dude managing a clothing company. So I didn't exactly feel as though this was like a mentor of mine that I was missing out on. But yeah, I definitely pretended I was moving. I also
Somewhere that was close to that place?
What's that? No, so I was moving back to Saskatchewan.
I said, did you end up working somewhere?
Oh, working. Well, I was a part-time job, so I had another job.
Okay.
What was the other job that was way less boring? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, my little munchkins. And so this was like just like a job where I was like, I'll just work like a few hours a week at this place, get a discount, meet some people. And I was like, well, this is fucking boring. So see ya.
That was, you only did that one time. You only had one job where that ever happened.
That I quit in the first month for sure. Yeah. I think that was the only one that pops into my head as far as like a quick in, quick out.
I had so many. I'm like, where do I start?
Wow. Okay.
I worked at Starbucks for a day. I was like working. People were yelling and I was like, nope, fuck this. See ya. I worked at Boston Pizza for 2 days in Newfoundland. I worked at Audi in Newfoundland for a day. I worked
Why
at
2 days at Boston Pizza? Let's rewind here. Like, what made you show up the second day after day one?
Okay. I worked at Boston Pizza. I got the job because everybody was like, it pays so good. And I was sitting there and everything was good. It was jive. The guy was cool. The staff was hot. You know, I'm into that. And so he gives me the menu and he goes, take this home and research it. You need to know it by the time you start your first shift.
Right.
And I looked at the menu and I was like, oh, okay. So then, I went back there, did one training shift, went home the next day, went back the next day, and they put me on the floor. And the first person was like, so what dips do you have? And I was like, oh, I didn't research that part. And I went back and he was like, you didn't know the dips? And I was like, no, I didn't know the dips. And he's like, what did I say to you?
This is what I mean about the entitled people in retail and restaurants when we were coming up the ranks. There were a lot of them.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. I couldn't even believe it. And Starbucks was the same thing. It's just like, it was so regimented. Like I commend these people. Whoever can do that job, I commend you. I can't believe it. Not for me. Not for me.
Reminded me of a job. The same thing, restaurant. I got the boot after the first month. I didn't quit. They did write me off the schedule though, because I was so bad at my job. So here is one more restaurant work.
It's what it is. They're so difficult, like and I've been good at certain restaurants, but yeah, I've definitely been like in the first, I also did, there was this roofing for a little while that was like, it looked like a tile, like from, like the hot country, basically. Like, but
Like
it was
a terracotta
plastic
kind of thing.
to be able to serve. Yeah, it looked like it was terracotta, but it was plastic to survive here in the Vancouver area. And I got that job from like I worked at one of those like get work as it comes in daytime places. You show up with your steel toes, like, I'm here to work today. And they had sent me on this job that was a 3-week long job, and it was night shift. And I was like basically like doing like line work for this roofing. And I literally, after like the first night, was like, no, I'm fucking out of here. This place sucks.
So funny when you know. I've got 2 that come to mind. I had a very brief stint as a maid. I didn't mean to get that job. I did not mean to get that job. I'm not a very tidy person. I'm basically the least qualified human to have this job. But it was a hotel chain. I lived in this little town of 13,000 people. So hospitality was where it was at if you were young and wanted employment. And so I went hoping for maybe to be a busser at the restaurant. Like I heard the tip life was really good. And they basically just bring you in for an interview. And they basically were like, oh, we actually don't have that available now. But what we do have, and it was to be a chambermaid was the full title. And I was like, oh, no, not for me. And they were like, well, it pays $16 an hour. And I was like, hey,
back
big
then,
spender, like, oh yeah. I was like, sign me up. Anyways, I was so fucking terrible. It was so bad. Like, and like the ladies that ran it, like they were just like such a bitch, like quite literally would take their finger against things and be like, like, did you dust this correctly? I'm like, probably not. I don't even know what's happening anymore. And the uniforms were this thick polyester where you would just cook in your own sweat. They were black with puffy sleeves. Like you just looked hideous and ugly. And then the second one was Shoppers Drug Mart. So basically I worked on cruise ships. And so you'd be 6 months on, and then you'd probably have about 2 to 3 months off. And I wasn't really in a position that I could just not work for 2 to 3 months because you don't get compensated very well working on ships either. And so I was like, oh, I'll just grab a part-time job. And I was like, Shoppers Drug Mart's been my dream. Like I remember going up to the cashiers and being like, I just would love this job to just do the beep beep and go through. Same thing, mind-numbingly boring. Like I commend people, your feet kill because you're not even moving around.
Right.
And same thing. I was just kind of terrible. Like I'd forget to ask for their Optimum card. They were in, they were out. So I quit that as well in under a month.
Oh,
yeah. I was like, I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm going to go work at Pier 1 Imports. Jobs. That's what happened.
There it is.
There it is.
So, speaking of jobs, leads.
Segue.
Perfect segue. So the airport, I feel like, is a horrible place to work. For the obvious reasons, especially now.
Like, what was did you tell them? Were you like, this is boring, man?
Or is she delayed in this?
I think so.
I like furniture stores. I love working in furniture stores. I'm not going to lie.
What planet are you on? Where are you talking about?
She's frozen, and I think we just got the audio.
That's magic. I love furniture. I love furniture stores.
My favorite part about the airport is the furniture, clearly.
And I love how where Richelle's face is frozen right now.
I know.
I feel so delayed.
You are, and it's making magic. Are you with us now?
Still haven't mastered the Zoom thing.
Fuck.
Are you with us?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. I can't. You're still frozen as the happiest kid in the tool shed.
I think it's almost more fun this way. Like we won't know what the response is.
There she is.
Oh,
we're gonna try that again. We're not talking furniture stores. Talking airports.
Okay.
You with us?
I'm here.
Boom. Okay, so airports, miserable place to work, in my opinion. If you had to work in an airport, you have no choice. What is the job that you would like to do the most? And what is the job that you would very much like to do the least?
Most pilot, clearly.
Oh no, you're in the airport, ma'am, working in the airport. Don't get all, you
Damn
can't
it.
work
I thought I
outside.
nailed this one.
No, sorry, Bob.
You're
Back
too
in the
classy.
airport.
Okay, well then revision. I
Yeah.
will pilot those little carts that drive people around to the gate.
That's mine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bob.
Little beep beep ding ding.
100%. Me too.
And definitely the least optimal would be to offload and onload the luggage. I feel
Oh,
like you have time
absolutely.
pressure, you're dealing with weather, whatever that is, like nonstop. I don't think you can be ergonomically lifting anything in that capacity. So
No.
those are my best and my worst.
Gotcha.
I want to be the flag guy. I want to be the one that flags.
Boom.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
totally.
So that, and then the one that you said where you drive the little cart around, but I feel like you have to pack. You still have to load luggage if you drive the cart. So I think just the direction person. And I would least want to be somebody who cleans the washroom.
That's fair. A lot goes on in airplane bathrooms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No one wants to do it on the plane.
No.
No. Okay, mine is close. I thought you guys were talking about the cart Mimi, where you like put the people that can't walk far in.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's the one I was talking about. Then you don't have to load things. Really.
Oh, okay.
No.
Yeah.
So the worst one I think would be dealing kind of a two for a little bit is security, because ma'am, do you have liquids? Sir, do you have, okay, you've got 8 bottles of shampoo, and like, it's just like the idiocy that you would deal with on a daily basis I would just want to physically hurt so many people by the end of the day. And then also the people that do the tickets.
Oh, yeah.
Because people just don't want to hear what they don't want to hear, and they'll ask over and over and over again. And just like, I just watch people at the airport, including myself at times, and everybody is just a disaster. It's like they turn into the most, ill-prepared version of yourself. And then, and also just think that if they say the right thing or push the right button, then they'll get what they want. And I just think nothing would make me want to believe less in humanity than working in an airport in those 2 jobs.
I'm really glad we had this conversation before I'm headed to the airport tonight.
Get prepared. Don't be that asshole. Don't be that asshole.
You're going to be thinking about it now. You'll be like, I wonder if I would want that guy's job.
I'm like badass through the security line. I've traveled enough. I've got
Yes.
it down to a science. I'm
with
super
you.
organized. Like,
Me too.
I do not delay.
Yeah, I'm with you in that kind of thing.
No.
Like, well, bam, I know the pockets. I know everything's going. Boom. You want that? Got
Yep.
that.
Totally.
Sweatpants, no belt, no shoelaces, slip it on, everything plastic.
I was that person, though. I have to be very truthful. For many years, I was the person that was nervous and flapping and flopping around and dropping things. And like, I would just panic as I went through security. I hated it.
And you see people going on holiday instantly when you're heading back from the destination and they're just all flustered. It's like all the
Yeah.
relaxation that they just did for a week, 10 days out the window.
Especially because you bring so much stuff back with you when you're trying to travel back somewhere. Usually they got like little trinkety thing, trying to fit it all in.
Hide the drugs.
Hide the drugs, the Bibles, the everything. It's bad
Dildo.
news. Dildo every time. Oh, okay. That's
hoping
that's
not
my
for us.
question. Who here has been stopped at the airport with a sex toy in their luggage? And what was your
Oh.
experience?
So I haven't, but I have a wonderful story of Dave way back in the day, when he was going through little Grand Prairie airport, and they opened his boss's suitcase, and they had been away on like a little work trip, and he had lube in there. And he's like, it was the most uncomfortable thing because like, I can't. And now we know I've seen it. We all
Was it more than 50 milliliters?
That's why they had to take it out. And
Oh, fuck.
he was just like, oh my God. And now we,
And it's
oh my
Dave.
God. Like, and now I have to travel with this guy and we have to pretend that this moment didn't happen. Like just that he's like, it was one of the most awkward experiences, but myself or Dave has yet, and I've like taken my sex toys across like in place, but it's never gotten, I always like genuinely was like, if something ever happens where they're like, and what is this? I was like, I'm going to like egg it on and like put it in my ear. I'm going to like put it up like, that's an ear massager. And like so hard into it that like they either laugh or they're so uncomfortable that they are like, oh no, I will flip those tables so hard and so fast. So I almost like hoped that they would, I'd like, open it,
whip it out,
whip it real good. So I've not had it happen while traveling, but since this is off-road, I will tell you the most embarrassing thing that has happened with my sex toys.
Yes.
When we were moving out here to Vancouver, we rented our home and it happened in about a 3.5 week period. And within that 3.5 week period, Gavin and I had also won a vacation. So we basically had 2 weeks to do all our shit. And it was intense. Like we had a whole house.
Right.
So anyways, we find some tenants, all the things, we pack up our stuff. We're all set to travel across the country. And we had basically like with the way the dates had worked out, we stayed at his parents' house the day before we left because we were like out of our home. And we get a message like, have you guys left yet? And the only thing that I forgot to pack out of my life was my everyone's faces. It's just as horrible as you think. It's my like my bedroom drawer.
Oh
my sex
God.
toys were all in there. Yeah. So we get this message from now our tenants that I have to take money from monthly. And she was like, it's all good. I guess she used to do those parties back in the day where they sell. So she was like, no shame, da-da-da. But like, as somebody that grew up in a Catholic school and all the things, it was like any residual sex shame I had from growing up, I was living in that cloud, mortified. I actually didn't deal with our tenants their entire time staying in our home.
Never took rent from them after that. We let them have the home.
Right.
That's the end of
down
it.
when they were home.
Live there now.
Yeah. So that's like,
so did she have to touch the toys to move them?
You know, what's funny is I don't even know.
Just left him there.
Like I actually don't even have memory of what the decisions were beyond that. Cause I think I was just so dead inside. I'm like, maybe Gav got them. Maybe we said, just chuck them. I'm really not sure, but yeah, the worst, the fucking worst.
Okay. So because I'm a lesbian.
What?
You guys didn't know that?
Shocked.
And because I'm a particular lesbian, I love the strap on.
Okay.
Nice.
That doesn't shock me at all.
Right?
Is it shocking? I doubt. So then I have a basically a family member, like a chosen family member, and their partner is like not really, they for the longest time weren't really supportive and didn't want to know about the gay stuff. Like I remember I hugged a friend of mine in front of her daughter and she like yelled at me because she thought I was being gay in front of her kid. Yeah, it was pretty brutal. Holy lick is right. And
it's a level of homophobia that woof nah.
Was aggressive. So anyway, I bring my partner to said cabin and I wear like a leather strap on that holds the dildo in it.
Got you.
And the dildo is rainbow. Why the
like I would want it sparkling.
Fuck not, because I like to be that guy. Leave the cabin. We leave the cabin for the weekend, right? And it's like Thanksgiving, and there's like 25 people staying at this cabin. And the only people that hadn't showed up yet were supposed to stay in our room after we left. So we left on like a Saturday, and on the Sunday, these people arrived, and guess what was left hanging, still not cleaned, on the back of the door handle when they shut the door.
Oh no.
Richelle.
Oh no.
Name number one. Why are you fucking at the family cabin? What? Oh, that like opened up so many questions of like.
It was nasty. And I get the worst call I have ever had.
Yeah, no kidding.
And not only that, they couldn't even address it or call it anything.
What did they
were like,
say?
What did they call it? The thing?
They didn't address it at all. They were just like, you left something behind. It's inappropriate.
Oh.
We threw it in the garbage.
Oh, you're like, that
Watch
shit's expensive.
next time you leave. Yeah, I literally was like, you know how much money that costs? And but the mortification, like I was mortified.
I can't even imagine.
I was like,
I can't even.
Oh my sweet baby Jesus.
Imagine.
And not only that, like I never talked about sex. We never said anything. Like I can't even hug. And they caught the most disturbed. Like I bet they prayed.
Oh, they held
for
vigil.
days. I bet they christened.
It was holy water dipped.
They burned that thing.
Exorcism came
in a fire outside. Yep. Sage. They were sweeping.
What made you want to do that in the home where you weren't even allowed to hug? I'm all for like, you don't do their rules, like do you? But like that seems like the most gigantic leap of like that just feels like
I feel like that would add to the spice. It makes it a little like
it totally adds to the spice.
It was like I would have done it.
That makes sense. Yep.
Yeah.
Part of the
it's like, wait a minute, we're not allowed to do this here.
That's
part
right.
of the thrill.
I'm doing this extra here.
Now it seems like the obvious.
Like, you got to be quiet, you know.
100%.
So
taste of the
that was mortifying. And on top of it all, like the funnier ones was obviously like I've been asked at the airport many a time, like, what is this? Whip it out. Sometimes they're double-sided and they're like holding it like it's like a shake gun. And you're just like, you know what that is, bitch. Like, give me a fucking break here.
100%.
Or like one time I had a vibrator.
You don't live under a rock. You know what this is.
I know. Or like you see, like you're on the other side of the x-ray machine and you see it go through the x-ray and you're like, wow, that looks like a dick in there. There's a dick in my bag.
Yeah, it looks like a dick.
Yeah, and you just like laugh about it. And some people look at you, they're just kind of like give you that eye, like, okay, good one. I see it in there. And those are the best ones. Those are the funny ones. So
amazing.
That's where I'm at. Yeah, that's it. That's it for me.
Well, I'm sure that they were like, they no longer looked at the hugs as being an issue. Did they, or were they like, now I'm even more, I see where hugs lead to rainbow dildos. This is
gateway hugs.
Yeah, gateway hugs.
You know what's funny though, is that one of the sisters who was absolutely like totally never said anything to me. Like the whole family has always been kind of like kind of off put by it. But one day she comes up to me like later on and she sits me down in like an old bedroom because the house was like old as hell. And she goes, you know, I just have a question. My neighbor, you know, John, he started wearing dresses and I'm just wondering, like, how do I address it? And I was like, well,
you don't.
Like, I don't know. Like, you don't. Like, what are you talking about?
They
She's
could
like,
wear
well, it's because
an elephant costume. None of your business.
I honestly was like, I don't even know how to answer that. But like, you know, leave them alone, maybe, or talk to them, say hi. How's your day?
Treat them like a human. Just human.
Treat them like a human.
Like just
God, like
around them.
No, I was like, hey, you know what? Actually, do you have a pitchfork? Get that pitchfork, head over there, shoot him with a dart.
You have a stick that's a flame.
Yeah, make sure you whisper it to all the other people in the community and get their input as well. And then decide if it's an issue that you should address collectively as a neighborhood. And if you should maybe vote on it and then like let him know you're having a vote and he's allowed to vote as well. Like, maybe that's, what on earth?
God damn. It's, you know, it's the funniest shit in the world, but also not.
Right.
But yeah, that's my stories.
Amazing.
Well, that did not disappoint.
No.
Good job, team.
Good job, team. This was good. I loved it.
You just went off-roading with the Motovation Podcast, hosted by Laurie Joy Kingwell and myself, Krissy Vann.
And of course, a special thank you to Richelle from True Get Moto.
Whoop, boss it.
Never miss an episode by hitting like or subscribe. Connect with us on Instagram at Motovation Podcast and visit our website at themotovation.com. And in the meantime, full tanks, full throttle.
I think this is good though. It's like healthy, you know, like people will be like, oh my God, I don't floss.
Oh, it's gonna be so hard not to laugh to get through this intro.